What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be watching a video from Rim Rants about how Fortnite fixed the metaverse. This is going to be about how the recent game modes that came out with Reload, OG, and Ballistic are much better, and I assume are going to be like more successful game modes than the initial metaverse game modes of like Festival, Rocket Racing, and Lego. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this. I personally think it's like really undebatable that the second wave of game modes was better than the first. And if you guys do want to check his channel out, it'll be linked down in the description below. It is Rimrants. I think the reason why the other game modes have sustained a player base longer, like Reload, OG, and Ballistic, is that they are PvP shooter games. And when you have the Fortnite audience, the core of Fortnite Battle Royale is a PvP shooter. Those people are more likely to be interested in PvP shooters. On top of the fact that Reload and OG are just literally Battle Royale. So, like, Reload's a bit different. Like, it has respawns. But they're both, like, more similar to Battle Royale than Lego, Festival, and Rocket Racing. I think also Festival and Rocket Racing are just very, very, very casual game modes that don't... They have replayability, but it's not like they really have grindability. Like, are people really playing Festival for, like, 4-hour sessions? I don't think so. Whereas like for some of the other game modes, that can certainly happen. Maybe not 4, but like several hours, you know? I just think a PvP game has a lot more to grind for and a lot more reasons to play. Lego is also very casual, but I think it has a lot more to do in the game and a lot more to like actually grind for in the game than both Rocket Racing and Festival.
2024 was undoubtedly a rough year for Fortnite.
Oof.
Even though I quite like the content that was made in this time, I can recognize the subpar quality that Epic Games usually delivers on.
Thank you for the raid, Boyoski. We are watching a YouTube video. Hope your stream was good. Thank you for the raid.
And even
Welcome, raiders.
though I liked it, many large creators and a vast majority of the community despised not only Chapter 5, but everything introduced alongside it. Of course, what I am referring to is
these modes got so much hate, and anything that was wrong in Battle Royale or not going well in Battle Royale, people blamed these other modes for. Like, the shop was very boring and repetitive, and everyone kind of attributed that to Lego and them not releasing skins that didn't have Lego variants. Like, I feel like people were just, like, already set up to kind of, like, hate these game modes.
the first
or, like, their mind was made on that before it even really had time to bloom.
wave of Metaverse modes, those being Rocket Racing, Lego Fortnite, and Fortnite Festival. Now the second wave, that being Ballistic, OG, and Reload, which is admittedly a bit hard to place with the first two seeing as it came out 8 months ago, but it definitely fits the vibe and mission that Epic Games was going for. So let's quickly do a player count comparison, shall we? What I'm going to do is take a bunch of these Metaverse modes and calculate the percent loss in player count 50 days after its release.
Which one do you guys think had the biggest fall off? I think it's definitely Rocket Racing or Festival, but it might be OG. I feel like OG like got ridiculous hype at the start, and then people just kind of like stopped caring as much.
I want to skip the
especially with it being season 1, like it was so bare bones.
Numbers, you can skip to the time code on screen and get right to the meat of the video, but I recommend you stay, as I believe that this is necessary context for the rest of the video essay. Anyway, I'll be using Fortnite.gg's player count tracker. Ready? Okay, so Rocket Racing went from an average of 112,838 players upon launch to 14,149 players just 2 months later. This is an 87.46% loss. Lego Fortnite going from an average of a whopping 1.649 million average players upon launch to 96,100.
That's a hard fall off too. But I think this one is like the healthiest of those three by far.
56, which is a 94.17.
It kind of like was trash at launch. There wasn't much to do, but that's kind of how all the game modes are. Like Ballistic right now is very bare bones. Even like Battle Royale when it first came out was very bare bones. Like how many of you guys played Season 1 OG and you were like, what the heck? This is the most boring thing ever. There's nothing in the game. There's nothing to do. Like even Battle Royale when it first launched in like late 2017 was like incredibly bare bones. And they do that for all the game modes. That's just kind of how it is.
7% loss. Festival from 124,993 to 21,469. 82.82% loss. This
They're
comes
all
out
like
to
in
an
the
average
80s.
of 88.03% loss
They're all almost 90%. That's rough.
of players for the
I think Lego like rebounded though, right? Like it does okay now.
the first wave of the metaverse within the first 50 days of these modes releasing. But what about the new modes? Reload launched to an average of 275,219 players, and 2 months later had an average of 190,225. That's only a 30.88% player loss. Ballistic launched with 68,083 players on average to go to 10,287. That's a little bit worse, but an 85.18% loss. OG, 365,018 to 60,899 as of yesterday. I know that Season 2 just came out. 83.32% loss.
So they're all 80 except for Reload, which I think makes sense because Reload is just like a plug-and-play BR style game mode. Like, it's just faster paced with respawns and stuff. And I also think Reload is the easiest to make content for because they just kind of like cycle in old stuff. Like, they did make the desert map, but for the first few months of Reload, it was just like we unvault some weapons from Fortnite's past and then vault some, and it's just like there's so many weapons they've accumulated in the game over the years that it's like very easy to like mix up the Reload loot pool. Like, it's not like they need to create entirely new stuff, whereas like for the all the other game modes, they have to make new stuff. And then even OG, they kind of have to make new stuff, but it's just like remaking old stuff. So it's probably much easier to make content for this than it is like any of the other game modes.
The new wave only has an average of a 66.46 loss. So as you can see, the percent lost players for the first wave of Metaverse modes is 21% higher than the new wave. And I get that hype for a newly released anything can be pretty persuasive to play it, but you can't deny that the difference is very significant. It's pretty clear to me that 2 months removed from the launch date, that the new wave of Metaverse modes are far more successful than the first wave. They've had more players, they've lost less players, and they've generated way more positive publicity. But why is that? And where can we possibly go from here? So, before we dive in, it's probably important to define a metaverse. Merriam-Webster defines a metaverse as a persistent virtual environment that allows access to and interoperability of multiple different virtual realities. If you want to know how this pertains to Fortnite, just slap the words "in Fortnite" onto the end of that dictionary definition. Basically, the Fortnite metaverse refers to the range in realities that a player can experience that are easily accessible.
We got Skibbity Toilet Tycoon. We got BR. We got Only Up. We got Festival. We got Rocket Racing.
While still being in Fortnite. Now, that's a pretty loose definition, I know, but bear with me a moment. The launch of Zero Build was heaped in a lot of controversy, as for the first 2 weeks of the Chapter 3 Season 2, there was no option to play with builds. You were just stuck like that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't know that. They didn't add Zero Build as a game mode. They vaulted building for the start of Chapter 3 Season 2. I think there was still builds in Arena, which was like the pseudo-ranked mode at the time, but when we just got on the game, we were playing a different game.
After these 2 weeks were over, Zero Build was launched as a separate game mode. I think we can all agree that this was not a metaverse-focused edition. Meanwhile, the launch of something like Reload is because it's a deviation from the main game that distinguishes itself enough from Battle Royale. Although they are completely different in playstyle, the same can be said for things like LEGO Fortnite. But why did modes like the latter one lose so many more players?
Because it's not as grindable. It's not a PvP shooter. Like, the reason why Reload, I think, did the best is because it's just naturally people who were playing Fortnite and enjoying Fortnite can pick up Reload and play it and then have a good time. But, like, Racing, for example, or Festival, there's probably a lot of people that enjoy Fortnite as a PvP shooter that don't really have interest in playing a rhythm game or a racing game. Like, I'm one of them. I couldn't possibly have less interest in those modes, and that's fine. And I think that's why they partially fell off. It's just like the existing Fortnite player base doesn't care as much. Also, not as much to do in those modes. But I think like those modes fell off, but like there's potentially people that got into Fortnite because of those modes. Like, they're potentially reaching a different audience with those game modes, and I think that's the entire goal. It wasn't to have every Fortnite Battle Royale player migrate over to LEGO Fortnite. It was to make something that people who want to play like a Minecraft-esque game, Fortnite is now an option for them. Like, people that want to play a rhythm game, Fortnite is now an option for them. People that want to play a racing game, Fortnite is now an option for them. People that want to play a tactical shooter, Fortnite is now an option for them in Ballistic. Like, I think that was the goal of it. And some modes, like, just won't be as popular as others in the same way that certain genres of game aren't as popular as others. I think the monetization is also, like, a factor, too. Like, I wonder how much of those, like, music packs people actually buy. Like, the average Festival player might end up spending more than the average player that plays, like, Ballistic or something. Because you need to, like, buy the content for Festival, right? Like, you need to buy the songs. And then same with LEGO. Like, you need to buy the packs. Racing, there's cars to buy, but
And I think the answer is really simple. These modes are too much of a deviation from the main battle royale.
They're too much of a deviation, so the core Fortnite player base doesn't care about it, but that's also good because you're reaching people that you would maybe never reach otherwise.
Let's look at the comparison here. Notice anything weird about the game titles from the first wave to the second wave? What's the difference? Guns. It's guns. I don't know why I'm playing it like it's such a big secret.
And even if you look at creative, a lot of the more popular creative maps are just fighting maps. Like, it's like the pit is typically the most popular, or some sort of red versus blue map. It's just a way to fight people. Like the, I don't know, like horror or like story maps that exist out there, I feel like rarely are as popular.
It's guns. The Fortnite community is too American. Take a look at these stats. It appears that there's a trend. The more similar a game mode is to Battle Royale, the more players it typically has. Look at OG. Sure, there's hype from a new season, I get it, but even before that, it was drawing massive amounts of players in.
And you know what else is massive?
Why? Because it's the most similar to Battle Royale. Reload is a...
That's basically what I just said. If you have a huge audience of people who like playing a PvP shooter, adding a PvP shooter mode is much more likely to have people play it than people playing a rhythm game.
A little less similar, having only 40 players and a smaller map, but it still draws a hefty player count. Now, Ballistic, my sweet summer child. I love this game mode a lot more than I should, but I can recognize that it's just Rainbow Six Siege, but worse. And this is a deviation from the main Battle Royale, but the gunplay is still there, and the Fortnite stylization definitely helps out. So I hypothesize that there are two things that affect a game mode's success: proximity to BR and structured updates. Yeah.
I feel like proximity to being a PvP shooter.
You knew it was coming. It's unfortunate that a game mode seemingly has to be pretty close to the feel of BR to be successful, but it's the reality that Fortnite players definitely have a comfort zone, and they like to play games closest to that. In general, I know there are people in my comment section who love Festival and who love LEGO, and there's nothing against you. I love those modes too. In general, most Fortnite players have a comfort zone, and they only play games within that zone. So take a look at the second category, structured updates. Look at the mode that completely bottomed out. That was a failure. Rocket Racing. It had a weird launch and a weird vibe to it, if you ask me. It wasn't bad necessarily, just like I said, weird. This game never got updated. It was on Season 0 for like 100 days, and it seemed like Epic Games just kind of pushed it to the wayside.
I don't know anything about racing.
And ignored it. I mean, obviously they did because it's discontinued, but we can even see the same thing happening right now. Ballistic launched with over 100,000 concurrent players, but it sits at about 20,000 right now. Why? Because there's no structure to this game, and I get that it's in early access, but there have been no roadmaps. Nope.
That's what I was saying earlier, though, about the content. Like, even Battle Royale, if you look at 2017 BR, it was so bare bones and basic. If that is what came out today, people would not like it, and you saw that when we had OG Season 1. A lot of people were bored of it very quick. Like, that's just how they do modes for some reason, is they launch them with nothing and then over time build it up. Even creative, when it first came out, was like super basic and bare bones compared to what it is today.
Plans, no announcements, except for the one that we got this week, 2 months after the release, that says they're just adding a good gun, because that's going to change how fun the stale map is. Ballistic
I don't know why they don't have more like user-made maps in Ballistic. I feel like that would be a good solution, because people can make creative maps. If they had a way for people to submit their maps to be featured in like the Ballistic rotation of maps, I think that would like help feed content to the mode like consistently. And I think other games do that. I think CS has like community made maps that get added to like the loot pool or get added to the map pool and stuff.
But it needs to be more structured when early access is over with to be as successful as Fortnite modes.
I know Halo does with Forge.
Don't get me wrong, the Ballistic situation is not nearly as bad as Rocket Racing, but it is superficially similar. I mean, we know when the next BR Festival and OG seasons come out, so is it too much to ask to apply the same logic to other Metaverse modes? I think not. Now, I got a lot of hate for making a take similar to this in my last video, but I hope it makes more sense.
The purple tag.
And I want to make it clear that even though I said this, I hypothesize that there are two things that affect a game mode's success. That does not mean that the previously stated is 100% gospel truth. I'm a fallible human who is simply pointing out the correlation that I see. A potential cause and effect. I think the one opposition to the structure is LEGO Fortnite, as it has absolutely zero of the important things that I just mentioned, and it still pulls about 40,000 players at a time. But I think that that's just a lot of XP farmers. But that's...
I don't think so. I think LEGO has potential. It's just unfortunate that it had nothing to do with the start. And I feel like if you look at like, what is that genre of game? Just survival? like if you look at survival games like Minecraft, I feel like that genre is significantly more popular than like racing games these days or rhythm games. Does Guitar Hero even exist? I don't think it does. Like I think that plays a huge part in it as well. If people don't care about the genre of the game that much, like throwing a racing game into Fortnite isn't going to blow people away, because I feel like racing games aren't that insanely popular of a genre in like the grand scheme of things.
Because I don't know a single friend who plays this game, but let me know if you do down in the comments. And no disrespect to Lego Fortnite, from what I've seen, it's very good. I just prefer Minecraft. But that's how Fortnite...
But yeah, it's hard to compete with Minecraft when did it come out? 2011? Like Minecraft has over 10 years of like building and improving on the game, whereas like Lego is starting at square one.
turned the metaverse around. They made it more American. Just kidding. I quite like pretty much whatever Fortnite does with the metaverse, but I do think that the second go-around was a major palate cleanser. It was a lot better, and apparently it's the gift that keeps on giving. Just throw those video essays about OG game mode being a bad thing in the garbage, I guess, because hoorah, we are absolutely in Fortnite's prime right now. OG Season 2, one of the best Battle Royale seasons in a while, an immaculate loophole and reload.
I don't really care to play OG that much, and I don't think it will sustain a very large player base consistently, like Reload or BR, but I think when a new season comes out, it's exciting to play and check out for like a day or two, especially when we get into like Season 4 onward. There started to be much more like kind of changes with every season after Season 4, and kind of map changes especially. I think for then it will be definitely fun to check out for like a day or two, but I don't see myself playing it long term, and I think that's fine.
And an innovative twist in Ballistic and whatever the heck this girl is in Festival. I love it all.
Was there supposed to be Miku?
And an innovative twist in Ballistic and whatever the
I don't see her.
heck this girl is in Festival. I love it all, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So was Phase 1 of the Fortnite Metaverse a failure? Yeah, kinda. I mean, as mentioned, I like the stuff that they added, but it was probably way too different from BR to be attractive to most people.
Yeah, it was targeting a different audience of people. Like, I feel like with Reload, you're not getting in people who don't care about Fortnite to play Fortnite. But with, like, Festival and Lego, you might get people, or even Ballistic, you might get people who traditionally didn't care about Fortnite and had no interest in playing to play the game. And I feel like that's the whole point, is to grow the audience, because at this point in time, if you're a BR player or someone who enjoys, you know, PvP shooters, you probably have your mind made up on Fortnite, right? Like, it's been relevant and popular for like 7 years.
That being said, I think that Epic Games is going to add something absolutely wild in 2026, and they needed this as a confirmed success to kind of rebuild the reputation that they've had in the metaverse. If you ask me, I think they succeeded. But what do you think? Let me know down.
I think there will always be pushback, and the Fortnite players will always hate it because it's mostly stuff that just isn't for them or isn't targeted at them. But that is my opinion on it. I think that's the end of this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be interesting, give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more. Check out Rembrandt's channel in the description below, and let me know which mode of the metaverse you think has the most potential, and if you think the second wave of modes has been more successful. I think it's arguable they've been more successful, and I think the reason why is just because they're PvP shooters. But I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.